Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be stuffing my second paycheck of January. I hope that this month has been going well for all of you and that you are accomplishing, or starting to accomplish, I should say, like being well on your way to making all of your goals come true for this year. Now, while I stuff today, I'm going to be talking a little bit about how I started this cash stuffing journey. And I started in February of last year, I believe, or with my second paycheck of January. So it's basically my 1 year anniversary of cash stuffing. And let me tell you, like, I know a lot of people have New Year's resolutions and they want to start January 1st, but it is never too late to start cash stuffing. All right, so let me get started with my holiday binder. So basically the reason that I started cash stuffing was because I had moved out of my parents' home and I put like all of the furniture so I was going to law school in 2020. I was going to law school. I was in my third year of law school, so my final year, and spring 2020, COVID hit. I was living in New York because that's where my law school was. And COVID hit, and basically I left the city. Like, I had to leave because things were really, really bad in New York City at the time. And so obviously I am so grateful that I got to move into my parents' house and like not pay any rent, basically not pay for food, etc., etc. All of those benefits were amazing. However, I was like 29, I think, 28 or 29. I don't really remember, but I just like felt that as grateful as I was because I wasn't making money, like I had to finish my semester out via Zoom and everything like that. Like, I had just been independent or living on my own. I basically had not lived at my parents' house since 2010 when I graduated high school. And I mean, I would go home for summer and stuff like that, but I would keep busy. I had internships and, you know, it wasn't like I was at home just not doing anything and just at my parents' house when I was there over summer and like Christmas break and things like that. But this was different because, you know, we were all in quarantine, so I wasn't leaving the house. We were there with each other 24/7. And then after I graduated law school, I had to study for the bar exam, which was postponed, I think, 3 times. And so it just seemed like my depression, and I don't really know how to describe it. I think it was the combination of quarantine and everything that resulted from quarantine, the postponement of the bar exam, everything like that. I have never been sadder and not myself. Like, the least myself I have ever been and the most depressed I have ever been was during that time period. And I feel so awful for my mom, who really had to be there with me through it all and like see my mood swings and my unhappiness. My mom was really like my rock, and I just get emotional even talking about it because I feel like a lot of people say that studying for the bar exam was like the worst time of their lives already. Like, even without quarantine, it's very stressful. The California bar is really hard. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm like tearing up, but studying for the bar mixed with quarantine, mixed with all the postponement and all the uncertainty, it was just like the toughest thing. And I don't know how to describe it because I feel like a lot of people might think like, oh, like you're so mentally weak. Like, you know, people go through much harder things. And I know that they do, but I feel like, you know, I think the only people who understand or who can understand what I'm talking about are like other people who have been through law school and like the bar exam, other people who are like lawyers essentially. And anyway, not to say that other people like can't understand, but I feel like it's one of those things that you truly understand when you go through it yourself. All of that to say that when I got the job that I have now, which is like my dream job, what I went to law school to do is that once I got my job, I was like so ready to move out and just be independent and like, you know, get myself back, like get me back. And so I moved out, you know, probably, I know that it was a little bit too early, put all of the furniture and things that I bought for the apartment on credit card. And I just had like a lot of debt. I mean, you know, it wasn't like $10,000 or anything like that, but I used to be the kind of person who would like pay off my credit card every Friday. So I did have like a couple of $1,000s that I had to work to pay off, like on top of all of the new expenses from having my own place. And it's actually so convoluted how I found cash stuffing because I was just watching planner videos. Like I was on YouTube watching planner videos and someone with like an A6 planner, I forget what they're called, but they're like, they were using it as a cash binder. And I'm gonna have to like insert the name of the planner right here, but it's like some foreign word, I think. Like it's not like in English or like company from the US, I don't think. But I was like, what the hell is this? And so I started getting into like cash stuffing videos because of planning. Like I was watching planner videos, people like decorating their planners or setting up their planners, and it somehow turned into cash stuffing. And so that's how I learned about it. And I said to myself, and that was towards the end of like December 2021, I believe, December 2021 or very, very, very early January 2022. And I'm like the kind of person that when I see something, I'm like, okay, if I say I'm going to do it, like, then I just do it. So I think it was within like a month or maximum 2 months that I just kind of like jumped right in and I was like, okay, I'm going to use this cash budgeting system to basically like pay off my debt and get my life together. And that's kind of what I did. Like in preparation to start cash stuffing, I paid off as much as I could on my credit cards and just stopped spending. Because my goal was kind of to like officially start with the binders and everything and not have any more credit card debt. Which I don't think ended up being what happened. I think I still had like a few paychecks to pay it off, but I definitely didn't start in January. So I say that to say that like, if you are thinking of starting to do this, like you can do it whenever. Like the calendar year is just that, it's a calendar year. Like if you want to start today, tomorrow, a Wednesday, a Thursday, a Friday, like it doesn't matter if you want to start the 9th, 13th, 24th of the month, like whatever. Like the point is that you do it and you start, because once you start, it will hopefully change your life the way that it did mine. And so a few things, I'm just going to give maybe like a couple of tips that really helped me. And I see that a lot of people get discouraged from cash stuffing because they don't want to track, like tracking everything that you spend and accounting for it in a category. Like that is very time consuming. I know that it's time consuming. I like we all know that it's time consuming. Everybody who does this knows that it's time consuming, right? But if you don't do that, like if you don't have to do it the whole year, okay? Like if this does not work for you, you don't have to do it the whole year. But let me tell you why I think it's important for you to do it at least a few cycles, like whether that be you get paid weekly or bi-weekly. Try it out for a few pay cycles or like 2 or 3 months, just because until you do this, you don't, like for me personally, it was hard to see where I was overspending. And that is a huge like part of getting your budget together, is figuring out where your money is going and where you can make changes. So me personally, I feel like if you're not tracking everything, as tedious as it may be, like you're not really understanding where your money is going. Okay, so that's like tip number 1. Tip number 2, you all see me stuff these binders every time I get paid, okay? And you might think to yourself, okay, is this girl really like stuffing these binders, and every time she goes somewhere, like she takes that envelope, or like what does she do when she spends in a category that she wasn't planning on spending on? Like what does she do then? Okay, if this works for me because I track every single expense, but I pay everything with a credit card. And let me show you, excuse the noise, what I do. So this is my planner for 2023. Our unity is our strength and our diversity is our power. And let me open up to like a blank page. Okay, so as you can see, this planner has lines here, like just regular lines, and then this like checklist, right? So let me show you all. Let me try to find a page with like no personal info. All right, so sorry y'all, this has like some personal information on it. So what I do, the way that I use this planner is on the side with the checklist, whatever money I spent that day, I write it down right here. And then every week I open this up, right? I open this up. So let me go back to a blank page. I open up my planner and I go down the list of expenses and I go through my binders and I take out that money. I track it here. Oh, well, this is not a good example, but like gas. Okay, on January 10th, I went to Chevron and I always round up or down. If it's like 9.56, I'm going to just call it 10. If it's 9.22, I'm going to call it 9. So this is gas. On January 10th, I got gas. I spent $10 at Chevron because I was not trying to fill up at Chevron. People, you know how expensive gas is at Chevron. So I only put $10 when I needed. So then I took it out and I put it aside. And then at the end of that week, once I go through, right, I like go through everything I spent that week. I check it off once I take it out. That's why you saw the check marks. And then I just go to the bank. I just deposit that money in the bank and pay off my credit card. Okay. So that makes it easy for me because I don't do it like every single day. I don't have to like go in the binders every single day. I just keep a log in my planner of everything that I spent that day. And then at the end of the week, I just sit down and I do it. I like have my cup of coffee, my glass of wine if I'm doing it at night, whatever. Like if my boyfriend's making dinner, I'll like sit down and talk to him as I do it. Like it's never like an inconvenience for me, right? Like it is, when you first start doing it, it does seem like a lot, but once you find your system, and this is my system, like you just get moving and grooving and it becomes like second nature to you. And I believe I already put the money, but let me just make sure I did. Yes, I did. Okay. And so that is, I don't even know what tip I'm on or whatever, but like that is the system that I use, and it really does work. Oh, right. Like, do I actually use the cash or do I use a credit card? No, like I use my credit card because it is way easier for me that way. And I don't mind it. I don't mind going to the bank once a week to deposit that money because I could just go to the ATM, put the money in, and it's quick. Like it really, to me, is not, I can fit it in my schedule. But again, I am single. I'm not single. I mean, I'm unmarried and I don't have kids. So like I do have more flexibility with my time. So I do understand that like this is not feasible for everybody, but if you don't want to be carrying cash around and things like that, go ahead and, find the method that works for you. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay. 2, 4, 6, 8, 90, 95, 1, 2, 3, 4, 100. Okay, so then my third tip is, if you are considering doing this, is it can be like a little bit overwhelming when you see people like do the binders and do the challenges and do that. Like I myself thought, okay, maybe I'll like do a challenge and like do a tracker and like, I prepared this for my house fund, my homeownership fund, to like color it in for every whatever. That was just a lot for me. Like, you don't have to do savings challenges. I've been doing this for a year and I still feel like that is advanced. Okay. Like I am not prepared to, in addition to like what I'm already doing, what I'm doing currently, also do challenges. Like if that is too much for you, do not feel like you have to do the challenges. And I follow quite a few people here in the budgeting community, and I see, like I do see, people say like, oh, that they'll stop the challenges, or that the challenges were just too overwhelming or not working out for them, especially if they're like newer in the community. And I definitely understand, like I feel that, because it is a lot. Like, look at me. I have 4 binders for, my everyday or long-term goals. I have a binder for holidays. Like that's already 5 binders total. I'm just not there yet. And I don't know if I ever will be. Like, I don't know if that's going to work for me. So I guess my third tip is just do what is going to work for you, and don't stress yourself over what other people in the community are doing. Like when I follow people and I watch their videos and I comment on their videos, it's like, to me, this community is for motivation, for keeping each other like accountable, like looking out for each other. There's like certain people, I watch every single one of their videos. I may not comment on every video, but like just seeing them be consistent motivates me to be consistent. And I know that there's certain people checking for me too. Like, you know who you are. There's people who comment on every single one of my videos or most of my videos. And I know like we don't know each other personally, but just knowing that like we are there for each other is like, having this channel for me is an accountability thing. So, yeah, just, do what works for you and don't stress. Really, if someone is doing more than you or less than you, because you know you best. They're not living in your situation. Only you are living in your situation. So you know what's best for you, and don't let other people, like, nobody here, and I'm not saying this because nobody in this community, to me personally, I have never seen anybody discourage somebody else or like really rag on somebody else. And that's what I love about this community. Even when, you know, people don't meet their goals or fall behind or fall off a little bit, it's like everyone is so welcoming and encouraging and understanding. And like, I just love this community. I think this community on YouTube is very unique. And so, yeah, just do what works best for you. Okay, and then for those wondering, like, okay, but how do I decide like what categories to have? Like, how did I go about that, and how maybe you could go about that is just look back at your credit cards, at your previous 2 to 3 months, and see, you know, get a piece of paper out and see what is it that you're spending money on. It's like, okay, do I go out to eat for lunch with my coworkers? Groceries, obviously, utilities. Like, we don't pay water here, but we do pay PG&E. Like things that you don't even think about, right? Like oil changes and things like that. I have a category just for my car. You know, think about your everyday life in like things that come up 2 to 3 months that you may not necessarily be thinking about every day. Like, what do you know is coming up, and kind of go from there. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, when I started, I think I had 2 or 3 binders. And as I did this, and this is the thing, as you do it, you're gonna learn and understand yourself more and more, and realize what categories you might need. So like, yeah, just start off with the categories that are easy for you to spot and recognize. Then as you do this more and more, you'll figure out, you know, if you need more categories or less categories, or, you know, maybe you have a category that you don't really need or could be consolidated into something else, and go from there. I have been at the point where I feel like I don't need to add or take away any categories, because the current categories that I have are really, you know, they're currently working for me. So what I would do and what I would suggest is just sit down, think about all your fixed expenses that you pay every month: rent, mortgage, utilities, any like subscriptions. We have a monthly water subscription where they deliver 5-gallon waters to us. But I take that out of groceries. So like, that's, you know, you have to think about like, okay, for this expense, what category am I going to take it out of, right? So keep those kind of things into account, write them all down, and then find a way to sort them. So when I look at my binder or my binders, I view my pink binder as kind of like my longer term goals, right? My emergency fund, my wedding fund, my home ownership. This is like long-term goals that I have. My yellow binder has like outside lands, clothes, beauty, just for me, date night. These are like personal to me things, like things that I know that I want to do and that I need to save for. Date night, what else? My boyfriend, and then like our gardening fund. Okay, so like this is things that I know I spend on every month that are kind of like, if I'm tight one month, I'm gonna put the least money into these categories, you know? And then this is things like apartment, gas, my car fund, lunch money, groceries, like things that I know that I need to put money in. This is like, you know, highest priority, second priority, personal things. And then this is like medium not long term, but kind of like longer term than the blue and yellow binders, like my birthday, paying back my family, gifts that come up, vacation, like bigger categories that I'm not as pressed about as the ones in my pink binder. And then of course my holidays binder, as those who watch my channel know. So like as holidays come up, I put money on there. And yeah, so like once you write down your list of everything that you spend on, put them into buckets, and that will dictate what categories are in each binder. And something else to keep in mind that I didn't think about when I first started doing this, and I think this is like tip number like 4 or 5 or something like that, is once your categories start getting fuller, like don't put, like when you're making your buckets and deciding how many binders you need, I think I have a maximum of 6 envelopes in each binder, because I realized that once they started getting full, like your binder gets really fat. So I would keep each binder or like bucket, when you're sorting them out, to like 5 or 6 of these plastic envelopes maximum. And okay, that brings me to my last tip, which is obviously supporting small businesses is amazing and something that I believe we should all strive to do. But when you are first starting to cash stuff, I think it's important to just like start with the basics and work your way up. And what I mean by that is, like, you don't feel like you have to go out and buy like the most fancy binder, like the cutest envelopes and stuff like that. When you are first starting out, just focus on that starting. So I bought my binders on Amazon. I bought these envelopes on Amazon, and then I just printed these labels on different colored paper, cut them to the size. I think I was able to do 4 envelopes for 1 page, and then I just cut them to the appropriate size. And see, I can't even take it out now because I cut it so perfectly. But I laminated this paper. You don't have to laminate it, but I did. I feel like I could have gotten away with not doing that, because I'm not like, you know, if you are planning on taking your envelopes with you everywhere, I would laminate it. But if you're doing what I do, which is like the credit card method and taking it out once a week, you don't need to laminate it, because you're not really going to be like messing this up, right? But I laminated it, and then I put it in my envelope, and I just went to Amazon and bought the matching budget sheet. And yeah, like if you don't have like different colored papers, but let's say you have a label maker, that's kind of how I made, you know, not this one. This one I used my mom's Cricut, but as you can see, some of mine just have like a label from a label maker. And I think you can get a label maker with 1 or 2 rolls of labels for like $20 to $25 at like Staples or Walmart or Target or whatever. So if you are just starting out and you just want to start, like, and you're just trying to start it, that's what I would recommend you do. I just recommend that you start with the basics, just to get it together, so to say, and then move on and get cuter things if that's what you are interested in doing. And I think anybody in this community and on YouTube, even those with Etsy shops who sell items of their own, they will give you that same advice. Like when you are just starting, you don't even need to have these binders and stuff. Like you could just do regular envelopes, or take a pen, label them and start like that. And then once you get a little bit more into it and you kind of see if it's working for you or not, then you can like move on and get all this other stuff. Thank you so much. I know that this video is a little bit different because I stuffed, but I didn't really talk about the amounts. But given that I started my own cash stuffing journey, I believe my second paycheck of January or like my first paycheck of February, and I didn't start like with the new year. And I know that many of you are like maybe thinking about starting. I just wanted to talk a little bit about how I got started and some suggestions for you all, and hopefully that helped. My goal this year is to reach 1,000 subscribers and get those watch hours so I can get monetized. So please, please, please follow me. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And whether you are watching this in the morning, afternoon, evening, middle of the night, I will catch you on the next one. I hope that you're doing well and having a good morning, afternoon, evening, or middle of the night, whenever it is that you're watching this. I hope that you are doing well and enjoying life, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.